a performance poet / spoken word artist, and I have been working in this guise for around about 15 years now. Welcome to this very short introduction to performance poetry video course brought to you by me and by the Bluebell Arts Project. Pre-COVID days, the performance and poetry class was a weekly class that would meet in the gas yard every week, where we would undertake an interactive, crack-active, mutually supportive and challenging introduction to the art form, aimed at both beginners and at people with maybe a little bit more experience. Maybe they'd done a few gigs, but who just were coming along to try out new ideas, new poems, that sort of thing. Now, it's almost impossible to get as in-depth over video as we would have gotten in the classes. A lot of the exercises that I do in my performance and poetry group are nigh on impossible, if not really, really difficult to do over video when you're on your own as opposed to part of a group. So as soon as COVID finally leaves us again, out COVID, my hope is that you might consider joining us in the gas yard when the classes start up again and experiencing the full benefit of meeting in a group. But hopefully in the meantime, this will act as a nice wee appetizer for you. For this course, you will need a voice, even if it's not one that feels particularly confident just now. Even if you hate it. In fact, particularly if you hate it, this is the course for you, because part and parcel of the performance and poetry course is making peace with and getting used to our voices. 2, you're going to need your poems. A few of your own poems would be ideal for this workshop. If you don't have your own poems, which I'm presuming that most people that come to this workshop are going to be writing their own poetry, and ideally I would want you to have your own poetry, but if you don't have your own poems just now, you can use poems by another writer to do most of the exercises. 3, you're going to need a phone with a decent voice recording app on it. Now there's plenty of those apps, can be downloaded for free. 4, you're going to need a pen and paper to take notes. And number 5, and very importantly, you're going to need to develop conscious ears. In each video, I'll present a pick of the poets, where I will showcase a different poet's work in every video. And for that section, I would like you to get into the habit of conscious listening to other people's work. So by that, I mean that you're listening consciously for the bits that stand out to you, what pulls you in, what pushes you back, what do you like, what are you drawn to? Because by becoming conscious of your likes and dislikes, and especially if you're at an early stage in this game, it will help you when it comes to you figuring out what your own style is. So what is performance poetry / spoken word? Because you will hear those two terms used interchangeably. Well, for those of you who are completely new to this, performance poetry is an art form that is made up of the interplay of various other art forms, such as storytelling, music, poetry, physical and vocal performance, and so on. It is the elevation of the oral aspects of the art form of poetry. Performance poetry draws on and was born of historical community influences such as yarn spinning, storytelling, African griots. It came out of work fields, protest movements with their political speakers and preachers. In the modern day, pop culture and hip hop have become big influences on performance poetry. And importantly, performance poetry tends to celebrate vernacular speech. What do we mean by vernacular speech? We mean basically the way that we naturally speak. The different accents, different turns of phrase. An art form incredibly rich in showcasing those things and celebrating those things as they should be celebrated. Now, it's important to note that performance poetry It encompasses many, many different and varied styles that should all be celebrated. Part and parcel of the performance and poetry course is learning to identify and celebrate and be comfortable in your own style. Now, maybe it's true that slams have a lot to answer for in terms of that hip hop style becoming so sort of pervasive in performance poetry. And where slam and so on certainly does have its merits, particularly in this part of the world where it has really rejuvenated popular interest in the art form of poetry, it can have its pitfalls, where it tends to encourage maybe a little bit of a homogenous slam hip hop style of performance. I'm starting to haver there, wasn't I? Yeah, let's move on. I've been around in the performance poetry scene in Ireland for a long time, but I still can't call myself an OG. Oh, damn it. By the time I came along, the scene was well up and running in many places. Nowadays, you'll find spoken word artists on stages all over the country, and in bars and schools and youth clubs and festivals, on the telly, on radio, even in art galleries. Art galleries. Like fancy ones. The ones with all the free wine where we used to go and hang out when we were busted, yet artsy and sophisticated young pops. The very ones. If you'd like to explore the spoken word artists living and working in Ireland today, then please take yourself over to YouTube and find the fantastic playlist that I've compiled there called Spoken Word Poetry Rap Ireland NI. And what I've done there is I've tried to put on one video for each artist. So there's over 100 videos on there, and that gives you a very, very good idea of who's all living and working in spoken word on the island today. In the meantime, it's time for our very first Pickle the Poets. And I will start off with a video of one of my own pieces to whet your appetite. And this was a piece that I was commissioned to write by BBC Radio Foyle for their 40th birthday celebrations.
Hi, you. Aye, you. This is the newsroom, the show on your shoulder, tuning in. What about yous? Kajay Maratasha Fairfires, yes. Oh, ye head-fried parents and barstool sports pundits. Ye patients and pensioners, artists and activists, ye seeking work and waiting results, ye drivers and passengers, even ye foliage fanciers, and amateur beekeepers, please, never devolve, will ye's? See, ye are we and we are thee, all broadcasters and receivers. The planet knows the troubles we've seen, but for trouble we'd have never got together, mucker bouncing off each other like radio waves and the ionosphere. Tell us where's still your sweetie shop. All you want and stuff you don't. Text, email, call us, we're multifarious. We don't want to be some wee plain one. As the world at our windows transitions, from analogue to digital transmissions, we cut and slice through spinning jargon like the backlanes of Craigan to prove our devotion to you. Aye, you, the sweets to our beat, the words on our street, dare we say, are rubber duckies. Aye, did we tell you? It's our anniversary. 4 decades we've been fluttering our signals your way. May we always mean so much more to each other than wavelengths and frequencies. We are live archives, lifetimes built together and survived. And if we just keep talking in the entire sonic spectrum of our dialects, then hi, for the next 40 years, we'll thrive.
Brilliant.
The Four Cornerstones of Performance Poetry. The performance poetry course that I run is centred on the 4 cornerstones of performance poetry. And those are the written word, naturally. Presuming that anybody coming to this course in the first place is into writing their own words. And if you're not, mate, you've stumbled into the wrong video. Like, I hope you get sorted, but like, what? Only kidding. But seriously, get scribbling. Number 2, the voice, the spoken word. Obviously, Abby. 3, the body. Oh man, what are you talking about? I just want to read my poems. What has my body got to do with this, Abby? Well, the next time you feel like bursting into tears or fits of laughter, I want you to notice how much of your body gets involved in that process. It's not just the eyeballs, and it's not just the voice, and it's not just the mouth, is it? No, 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 no. Oftentimes we can get in the habit of going about a wee bit like talking heads, and our bodily awareness is minimal. So part of the performance and poetry course naturally involves becoming more conscious of and comfortable in your body as well while you're performing. We tend to cut our consciousness off here. And number 4, memorization. This is something that I insist that everybody tries in the performance and poetry course. Aww, you're an animal. Look, many find the thought of memorising their work difficult and daunting, but it is so worth the effort put in. Task 1 is to explore the performance, poetry and spoken word in Ireland playlist that I mentioned to you before. I want you to find a poet whose work stands out to you. Note down what it is that draws you to the work. Could be the subject, the style of performance. As I said, being consciously aware of what you like and dislike in other people's work will help you when it comes to you pinning down your own style. And try to find one new poet per week. And I think that's quite enough for this first video, so good luck, my poetiques. And I'll see you in video 2.